Good afternoon. We are live watching boxing in anticipation of Joyce versus Hrgovic. So right now I'm watching the co-main. It is David Adelaide. Sorry, I keep saying it wrong. David Adelaide versus Jamie TKV. We are in the fifth round of this 12-round fight. They are competing for the British Boxing Board of Control British Heavyweight title, which is vacant. Hey, Sean, very good to see you. Thanks for joining. I'm actually more interested in the Joyce versus Hrgovic fight than like the Amazon Prime fights that are on tonight. Yes, we're live. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Who are you picking in this fight? I'm rooting for Joyce for sure. I feel that even though he didn't look so good against Derek Chisora, I felt that it was more that Derek Chisora really got it together and looked really great. Whereas in Hrgovic's loss to Daniel Dubois, I felt he looked really disinterested for some weird reason. And so in terms of his mental outlook, I'm just questioning where he's at. He didn't even protest the stoppage. He just looked like he didn't care. I don't think he was really listening to his corner when he was fighting Daniel Dubois. So that's my take on it. Who do you have? I'll be honest with you guys, I've not heard of this fellow Jamie TKV before. Apparently he flipped over a table at the press conference, and that kind of got a little airplay. But right now, these guys are both orthodox fighters. It looks like it's a bit of a battle of jabs. A lot of them just, they're both throwing single jabs at each other, taking turns with that, and then coming in with a big overhand rights. Hello. Okay, so Sean is saying he's also got Joyce, and he's hoping that Joshua can make a comeback. I kind of feel like Joshua's done, but I do wish him, for all he's given boxing and boxing fans, I feel like he does deserve to go out on a higher note. So maybe he does sort of, maybe they throw him a couple of a comeback fight or something. I am from the United States of America. I live in California. We are watching boxing live. This is going on right now in the UK. It's a live boxing card. Right now we're watching the co-main to Joyce versus Hrgovic, two heavyweight fighters. We're watching the co-main, which is a matchup between David Adelaide versus Jamie TKV. Although I thought Jamie was his first name. Maybe you guys can fill me in on that if you know a little bit more about British boxing than I do. All right, here we go. We are in the sixth round of Adelaide versus Jamie TKV. Oh, goodness gracious. Adelaide just drops TKV hard. He falls on his rear end, rolls over onto his front, and manages to get back up to his feet, but he's stumbling around on his feet a bit. Referee asks him to take a step forward, asks him if he wants to continue, and they do, but goodness, he's hurt. Oh, and Adelaide is just coming in for the finish. He's got Jamie on the ropes. Jamie again falls forward on all fours. Ref is administering the count. He's at 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, and Jamie is back up. Ref waves it off as Jamie turns around to look him in the eyes. Not sure what happened there specifically, but I guess the ref just saw something in Jamie TKV's eyes. So all the histrionics leading up to this fight, flipping the table over, didn't really do him much good there. Okay, hey Shug, good to see you. Yes, good call, Shug. He was mentioning that Jamie TKV is using a bit of a lady jab. So, sorry, I'm having a little bit of issue with this tripod, but hang on, guys. Sean is saying Adelea is a big boy, can't sleep on him, that's for sure. Shug is saying, I saw your fasting kids, but to me, not that it matters. I think you have a nice shape and build. What's the reason for the fast, if I might ask? Okay, so the reason for the fast was really more of a health thing. Just something that actually one of my functional medicine doctor suggested, and yeah, I felt really good afterwards, and I was able to get my workouts in, so it didn't interfere with that. That's really all it was about. Just a little bit of a quick reset. Hey, what's up? We're watching Boxing Live. We just saw David Adelea stop Jamie TKV, another heavyweight. To be honest, I hadn't heard of Jamie TKV prior to this fight. He did kind of protest the ref waving it off, but I mean, I think it was going in that direction anyways. So, Shug says, very intriguing, I guess, about the fast. I fast frequently for religious reasons, but I've never heavily examined the benefits. So from what I understand is that if you do not overload your system with food, which is kind of what we tend to do when we're not fasting, because we probably eat 2 or 3 meals a day. By fasting a little bit, it sort of helps our cells at the cellular level, like your mitochondria. It's beneficial for your mitochondria. I can't really break down the science of all that, but I do remember listening to some lectures and reading up about that. Sean says, what's my longest fast? Oh, he's asking Shug, sorry, what his longest fast is. Okay, so David Alley wins the British Boxing Board of Control Heavyweight Championship. So I don't typically fast. I mean, I've cut weight before, but I don't know if I want to consider that a proper fast. This one was just 5 days because it's the first time I've done it. I know folks do it a lot longer than that. Or they do it more severely, where they just, like I was eating a nut bar or two and drinking vegetable soups, so it wasn't 100% liquid fast. I know people do 100% liquid fast or just 100% no intake. Shug says my longest has been, is it 22 hours a day over 2 weeks, but I've done some 72-hour fasts. Cool. No food or water. Right, that's like a much more strict fast than what I did. Okay, so they're doing the post fight interview with David Adelaide right now in the ring. So do you like work out or do any physical activity while you're fasting, or do you um, leave it alone? Sean says, "Ain't no way." I got it. I probably have done some no food, no water, no nothing while I was trying to cut weight, but that's a different sort of headspace for sure than a much different headspace than doing a fast for religious purposes. Okay, Shug says Adelaide is good, but he needs to get better strategies for dealing with the jab. Yeah, I felt it was a little bit of what one of my coaches would call just clashing, where two people are just going at it as opposed to trying to feint and set it up. Shug says, I work out with body weight and I do moderate cardio. Okay, cool. So that would be, I guess, my one concern is just feeling like I'm gonna faint or something if it's 100% like no food, no water, and then try to do a workout. But I could imagine that's also kind of a cleansing thing while you're doing that. Shug also says, and Adelaide does not keep his head off the center line. Yeah, exactly. That's why I felt like they were sort of clashing with their jabs, and then they would exchange big overhand rights. Um, yeah, Shug says sometimes Adelaide, sometimes just looking for one monster shot. So he does meet that criteria, the George Foreman criteria of a heavyweight who fights like a heavyweight. But I would agree that you want to be world class fighter, you gotta up your game a little bit, really work on defensive and offensive subtleties. Sugar says you can't do the 72 hours a lot. I would agree. Um, Only once or twice a year. The other ones are reasonable, but the food window is small. Got it. So probably, yeah, just that. Yeah, that's a small food window if you're gonna fast for 22 hours. Sean says he'll probably get tired from head movements. That's interesting. So did Fabio Wardley vacate that? I thought that was his belt. I saw him being interviewed on camera just prior to this fight, but I didn't really catch the interview. Shug asks if I had Marciano or Foreman power, would this have changed my style at all in boxing or MMA? Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, if you have that type of power, you probably throw fewer punches. You just, if you have that knockout power, one shot knockout power, then you can afford to take more shots just knowing that you got a huge bomb in your back pocket. In some ways, I sort of tend to do fight more like a heavyweight than a lightweight because I'm more of a slugger than I am a boxing mover. Someone who's just looking to hit and run. Sean James says, that's the curse of power punches. They stop boxing. Yeah, in a sense, I mean, but then in the end, as far as heavyweights go, I do tend to agree with the George Foreman criteria that at some point a heavyweight has to start fighting like a heavyweight. I'm actually going to make another video about that where I update my top 10 heavyweight fighters and then also introduce like the George Foreman criteria. Sorry, don't know your name, EQ. I don't know how to say it. Um, says, I fasted for 7 days once, only liquids. That's super impressive. That's a lot of discipline. It's half me trying to save money and also trying to lose weight. On the seventh day, I went to a buffet and had some sort of minor attack while eating. Oh, I hope that was okay for you. I hope it wasn't like a serious like heart attack type thing. Shug says in reply, "Oh man, I don't want to laugh, but it does sound humorous. I hope you came out of it all right." Sean says, "Shug, I've seen the fight like that already. She's a tank." Okay. EQ says it was like a lot of flashes and heart palpitations. Holy cow. Okay, well, I'm glad you're okay. Yeah, the advice I got from the Prolon diet, manufacturer was like after the 5 day fast to just um, eat kind of light. So I think I opened up with some soups um, and like just veggies. To be honest, I didn't I didn't totally stick with that Prolon diet. I did eat some like vegetables and a little bit of was a whitefish. Can't remember. Um, like maybe about 4 ounces or so. Okay, Sean says EQ. Your chance. You cannot eat like that after fasting. Light food like soup. Think of Ramadan. Yeah. I realized I knew I didn't want to like jump right back into like roast beef or chicken or something like that. So yeah, I broke my fast with a lot of veggies, salad, stuff like that. Shug says, gotta have some fish or chicken after a nice fast. Goes down really well with veggies. Yeah, for sure. My favorite thing for that, even if I'm like say cutting weight, and after that is definitely soup, like a nice hearty hot soup, just goes down really well. All right, sorry guys, I've got a runny nose. So I gotta like occasionally blow my nose off camera. Okay, we're on commercial break. Shug says I've seen some people in Ramadan um not adhere to fasting properly, gorge themselves, wind up in the hospital. Oh my goodness, with pleurisy or renal problems. Okay, so I'm not really familiar with pleurisy is, but renal problems means like your kidneys, right? So I can understand that because like you're suddenly overloading your system that's been conditioned to you depriving it. So I can see how your kidneys would be like in shock or something if you suddenly had a lot of food or a lot of liquid. Thank you, Sean. He says, okay, it's get well soon. Yeah, I, just picked up a little bit of the sniffles over the past couple of days. Just hoping it doesn't get worse. We're at commercial break. Um, Lots of ads. Sorry for the pause. Not sure if they're doing this because that co-main ended early, so hopefully they don't just bombard us with ads until we get to the main event. Sean is saying eat lots of antioxidant fruits. Big bowls of them. Yes, I do have. I don't have any fresh fruit. I have a little grapefruit, but I do have some blueberries and beets, kind of in a puree. Charles, hey, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Charles is saying he has Crawford over Canelo, I assume. Oh, excuse me for a sec. So is that fight officially happening, Crawford Canelo? Oh, so is Wardley fighting Big Baby Miller? Charles says, who knows? Yeah, because I don't even know the fellow that Canelo's fighting next. Are any of you guys familiar with the guy that Canelo's scheduled to fight? All right. Well, thank you, Sean. I forgot the guy's name. Yes, William Skull in May. All right. So apparently we have another. All right. Iku's saying no, some Cuban dude. He's big though. Most are bigger than Canelo at that weight though. Yeah, Canelo's not super tall, right? Like, it's my understanding that even Ryan Garcia is taller than Canelo. Okay, so right now they're doing a face down between Fabio Wardley and Jarrell Miller. I'm amazed that Miller's still even allowed to fight after getting busted so many times for PEDs. He's got a good team behind him, I guess, that can keep maneuvering him. They're going to apparently fight for the WBA interim heavyweight title. Big step up for Fabio Wardley. Pretty amazing that he came from that white-collar boxing background. Sean James says Canelo's about 5'7". Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much taller Ryan Garcia is than him, but he's definitely taller, even though he fights at a lighter weight. So it looks like we're I don't know if we're just trying to kill time here before the main event, since the co-main ended kind of early, but hopefully we get to the action a little bit sooner rather than later. Right now we're doing a stand-up just between the two commentators. Sean is asking me what do I think about Wilder's return later this year. He shouldn't. Like I think, I think I've been saying this since Josh Joe Joseph Parker beat him. He looked horrible in that fight versus Joseph Parker. He showed me he's a shot fighter. So the most he should do is just fight in a farewell fight and be done with it. I mean, I would do it off camera. I mean, it doesn't need to be seen. He doesn't need to make a lot of money, so it doesn't need to be televised. He should just do it as like an event for himself and friends and family. Have it be like a getaway for everybody. Book a resort in a nice, I don't know, a nice location. Fly all his friends and family out there. Get in the ring with some local heavyweight guy who's never, who would be thrilled to get in the ring with Deontay Wilder and lose, and then just be done with it. Fight you could schedule it for 12 if you want for some sort of made up belt. Just do that. Go out on a high note and then be done. Suzerain is asking, hey, when's the fight? The fight we're waiting on is Joyce versus Filip Hrgovic, and the co-main ended kind of early due to a TKO stoppage. So hopefully soon. It's 19 minutes past the hour. Hope they get them in the ring within the next few minutes. Scissorin's just saying, did I see Deontay's going to fight again? Should we be scared? Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned for him. I don't think he should have fought again after Joseph Parker beat him. And then he went on to get badly knocked out by Zhang Jilei. I've expressed my opinion about that, I think, more than once. So, yeah, I just think he should do a farewell fight and be done with it. All right, so we're getting ready for the main event. We have Hrgovic about to make his walk. Charles is saying, where are they today? You mean, where's this fight? Or I'm not sure what you're asking me, Charles. Here we have a fairly clean-shaven Filip Hrgovic coming out with his sort of Croatian-themed outfit, that black and white checker. He looks good. He looks lean and mean. Thank you for the love. Suzerain is asking me who I think will win this fight. I'm rooting for Joyce. This will be an interesting fight just because it'll show us where both men are at. I mean, Joyce, of course, lost to Derek Chisora. He didn't look good, but then again, I don't want to take anything away from Derek Chisora, who probably really surpassed people's expectations of where they thought Chisora was at. My concern for Filip Hrgovic is that he just looked so disinterested in his last fight with Daniel Dubois. I just noticed that he apparently does have a new trainer in his corner in Abel Sanchez. So that's a plus for sure, because Abel's a veteran. Of course, Hrgovic had Ronnie Shields in his corner for his fight versus Dubois, and I felt that Shields gave him great corner advice. It just was not heated. So why was that? Was it not adequate preparation in the camp? You know, did he just not have, did he just not have that sort of bond with Shields where he's willing to listen to him? Something looked a little bit amiss for Hrgovic in his loss to Dubois. Charles says, Deontay wants to go out a warrior, and he may get his wish. Well, I don't know. It's just, he should have figured out after his losses to Fury that he can talk all that, but in the end, it's the, how sensible is that? Okay, here comes Joe Juggernaut with a little head helmet thingy on, jogging out to the ring. Jogging straight to the ring, stepping over the ropes. No way I could ever do that. Haha, Sean says that helmet gets me every time. Yeah, it's kind of a weird look. Kind of, didn't want to say it, but it reminds me of, how you, little kids who are always running into walls, so you put a helmet on them. Okay, guys, here we go. It's about to start. The main event, Joe Joyce versus Filip Hrgovic. Tell me who you got in this. Joe Joyce or Filip Hrgovic? Judging by the way Filip Hrgovic looks, I may, if I was betting on this, I may want to switch my bet at this point and put some money on Hrgovic. Just because he looks remarkably better. He looks leaner. I like the fact that he has Abel Sanchez in his corner. Abel's a veteran trainer. Suzerain says, am I doing Tim Zoo's fight as well? Well, yes, hopefully I will, after this is done, we'll go off air for a bit, and then I'll pick it back up for Tim Zoo's fight versus Joey Spencer. Now, for that one, I'm going to definitely go with Tim Zoo. Joey Spencer just hasn't been tested enough. All right, sorry, guys. I just lost the stream. One sec. Tim Zoo scares you. Suzerain says Tim Zoo scares me now. He's been inconsistent. Yeah, I mean he has suffered 2 losses, so I mean he's got to get it together. But I mean I think he has a good work ethic. I think he could, if he's at his best, he could definitely handle Spencer. All right, I apologize again, guys. I've lost the stream, but trying to get it back. All right. Joyce looks good. No, he looks clear. All right. Okay, here we go. About to get this heavyweight fight started. Joyce versus Philip Hrgovic. Let's see if Hrgovic has found his mojo or regained it. All right, here we go. Both men fighting out of orthodox stance. Both men starting with single jabs right in the middle of the ring. Shoots a jab to the body. Both men taking very small steps. Joey's starting to circle around to his right. Both men still throwing single jabs. Kind of back and forth with that. Hrgovic working a couple of right hands off his jab. Hrgovic with a right hand to the body. Looks like Hrgovic is honing in on that jab right hand. This could be a bad thing for Joyce. Hrgovic misses with the big overhand, right? Like to see Joyce get going a little bit more with double jabs and feinting. Oh goodness. Yeah, Joyce is leaning away to his right, but he's still in long hand. Hrgovic just landed a very good, another jab right hand. Goodness. Joyce eating too many of these right hands. Minute left. It's not looking good for Joyce at this point, just because Hrgovic has found a home for that right hand already in the first round. Joyce needs to stop leaning to his right and circling to his right. Now he starts backing up to his left and wings a right hand at Hrgovic's body, but Hrgovic comes back with a right hand, jab right hand to the head. Yeah, this is a very disciplined Hrgovic. Looks like a different Hrgovic than the one who fought Daniel Dubois. But Joyce needs to get it together here. He can't afford to throw single jabs versus Hrgovic and lean over to his right. So now he's resorted to leaning to his right but circling to his left. Still not good, and he's still getting hit with these right hands by Hrgovic. Okay, so not a good first round for Joyce. Shug says Joyce seems to be less confident in his power and not as aggressive. Yes, he needs to. I'm not sure why he's that unsteady, but he needs to just stand his ground, and he needs to start moving his head to his left off the center line. He can't always go to the right because he's going to get clipped on this side of the head with that right hand. So this could be over sooner rather than later. Shug says Joyce looks like he might already have a mouse. Yes, definitely, or abrasion on his left eye. But Philip not looking like a lot like a lot of spring in his step either. Right, unfortunately, Joe is making this too easy for Philip. Double jab from Philip, then a right hand, nice straight right hand. Joyce has to start slipping to his left a little more. Okay, good short little hook by Joyce. That's a better move. Jab to the body, jab to the head. Another jab to the body from Joyce. But that jab right hand is going to be money for Hrgovic. Sean says, he's always a slow starter. I'm assuming you're meaning Joe Joyce. True. Charles says, I'll put my 2 cents for Joyce here. Okay, cool. Nice right hand from Hrgovic. Series of right hands. Looks like Joe has opened something up on Hrgovic's eyebrow, though. Again, nice jab right hand from Hrgovic. Yep, there's a cut over the left eyebrow of Hrgovic, so Joyce needs to get going now. Ah, please stop leaning to your right, Joe. Nice. Jab to the head, right hand to the body. Okay, now he's starting to move his head a little bit to the left. Joyce has Hrgovic in the corner, but Hrgovic remains unfazed and just gets out by throwing a jab, big overhand right. Now they're both back in the center of the ring. I like that Joe is using a little more of his jab, doubling up on it a bit, but Hrgovic is just sticking to what was working, which was his jab right hand. Oh, nice jab by Joe Joyce. And Joe comes back winning with these big right hands. Misses, but if he's able to find the target, that's a good solid punch for him. Now, if Joe's going to lean to the right, I'd love it if he would weave back under the other way. But Hrgovic starting to put them together. And Hrgovic just lining up Joe Joyce for those jab right hands. And Hrgovic just barely misses with a overhand right as the bell sounds to end the second round. That was a much better round for Joe Joyce, but again, you can't afford to make errors. Let's see. Okay, so I'm not sure if Abel was his cornerman or his cut man, because Abel's in the corner closing up Hrgovic's cuts, and somebody on the outside of the ring, a younger guy, is speaking to Philip in presumably in Croatian. So here we go. Third round. This is a great heavyweight matchup. Again, both men start out with very heavy jabs. Single jabs from Hrgovic. Starting to get a little more movement from both men at this point. Hrgovic starting to throw some body shots now. But still, with that jab overhand right from Hrgovic. I like the fact that Joe is using a little more feinting at this point. Feinting high to come down low to the body with his jab. Kind of wings that right hand to the body and misses. Nice. Okay, so Joe found a home for that. His right hand starting to land now. Gets Hrgovic towards the ropes. Hrgovic covering up well and coming right back with his counter. Joe's starting to mix up his targets, mixing in the body, jabbing to the body more now. Okay, good. He slipped to the left. Oh, goodness, though. Hrgovic with a nice right hand to the head and follows up with 2 body shots. Hrgovic missing with a right. Joe just glancing a jab to the body. Comes back with a jab right hand to the head. Doesn't really land. Okay, good. Joe's starting to use a little more torso movement to slip punches. But Hrgovic still landing those right hands. Just wondering how much of that Joyce can absorb. Here we go, less than a minute. Joe again has Hrgovic against the ropes. Hrgovic just makes his way back to the center of the ring. Joyce with a nice jab right hand, another short right hook. Big looping left from Joe, which misses. Again got Hrgovic in the corner. But Hrgovic comes out with a fake uppercut right hand. Lands another right hand. Joe misses with a big looping hook. Again got Hrgovic in the corner to the crowd's delight. And there's the bell. Who do you guys have winning this fight so far? I think we got to give the first round to Hrgovic. The next 2 rounds are a little tougher to score, I think. Oh, what do you guys think of sorry, I just went blank. Those 2 guys are in different weight divisions, so I never really understood why this is. I mean, okay, I get it. The father's legacy, second generation, all of that, but they're 2 different weight divisions. The Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I'll tune in like everybody else, but it doesn't seem to make sense to me to pair up 2 guys who are in different weight divisions. Hello, LS Vlogs. Good to see you. EQ says, I really don't care. I'm just here for you. This is like my ASMR. Okay, cool. Okay, Hrgovic coming out hard for this round. Nice jab from Hrgovic. Good single jabs. Joyce looking a little more lively, a little more sort of active footwork from Joyce. Hrgovic seems to be kind of willingly putting himself in the corner at moments. I guess he's just looking to counter punch out of the corner because he keeps backing up towards the ropes. Joe fights with a very upright torso. I guess that's just, how he's used to fighting. Again, he's got Hrgovic in the corner. It's never really a good look to put oneself on the ropes or in the corner, but Hrgovic is able to get his way out of there. Just presses forward. Again, Hrgovic just sticking to what's working, which is his jab right hand. Oh, nice little short left uppercut, right hand combination by Hrgovic. Joe keeps driving Hrgovic back to the ropes, which is what he's doing right now. Misses with his big right hand, tries to come back with a left hook. Hrgovic parries Joe's jab down, comes back with his jab. Joyce starting to mix in some body shots now. Both men doing that. Hrgovic opens up with a left body shot. Joe still pushing Hrgovic back to the ropes. Hrgovic willing to play that role and kind of back up towards the ropes, look to counter Joyce as he comes forward. So it was a 4-punch combination to get off the ropes. Now they're back in the center of the ring. Good. Again, Joyce has Hrgovic back in the corner, lands a good right hand. Hrgovic ends that round with a nice little left hook to the head. Sean says, Hrgovic 2, Joyce 1. Move 37, good to see you. We're watching Joyce versus Philip Hrgovic. Thanks for joining us. Excuse me for 1 sec, guys. So, as much as I want Joyce to win this fight, I think I would have to say I have Philip Hrgovic ahead at the moment. Yeah, EQ, it's definitely going around, right? Just got a bad case of the sniffles. All right, here we go, round 5. Both men in the center of the ring. Joe with his very upright torso and double high guard. Hrgovic lands a nice jab, lands a nice right hand, starting to open up with body shots. Puts himself on the ropes, Hrgovic, but then seems to like fighting off the rope for whatever reason. Joe was a little bit tentative coming in with jabs to the body, jabs to the head. Hrgovic just waiting to counter off the ropes. Don't know if he fancies himself doing the rope-a-dope, but Sean is saying, right, Joyce will need a knockout to win. Philip put himself in the corner there. Now, I'm wondering if he's going to keep backing up into the corner again. He starts to press forward, jab right hand. Joe presses him into a clinch in the corner. Ref separates them. Unofficial scorecard by the DAZN has it even, 2 rounds apiece. So right now, Hrgovic is just kind of keeping himself in the corner, letting Joyce come forward, and then looking to counter him with that jab right hand. Joyce with a jab to the body. Interesting strategy by Hrgovic to do that. Sean says they can't be trusted. Yep, Hrgovic just sticking with what was working from round 1, which is his jab right hand. Joyce getting a little cute now and kind of weaving under punch. Back in the center of the ring, ref warns Hrgovic about punches behind the head. And here we are at the end of the round. Joyce just pressing forward, and again, Hrgovic puts himself in the corner. Not so sure that you can give a round to somebody whose body language is like that, where they're putting themselves in the corner. Looks like Joe has a very young corner here, a guy named Steve Broughton. Are you guys familiar with him? He looks younger than Joe. Don't know, his cornerman is Jamie Sheldon or something. Second assist is Cameron Off. Anyways, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with these gentlemen. Not so sure that I trust a cornerman that's a 20-something or even a young 30-something, but that's just me. All right, here we go. Hrgovic and Joyce back in the center of the ring. Hrgovic keeps retreating towards the ropes. I'm not sure if he just figures that way he doesn't have to move around and he can just conserve energy and fight off the rope. I guess he figures maybe he can see Joyce's punches coming, and so he can just bide his time and look to counter. Okay, again, Hrgovic landing his jab right hand. Now he's fighting with his lead hand low and still backing towards the ropes. Really feel that Joyce should try to take advantage of this. Joyce also fighting with his lead hand low in moments. Good jab to the head by Joyce. Again, Hrgovic comes right back with 1-2. I'd like to see a little bit more setup from both men. Good series of jabs, but Hrgovic fires back with really rapid fire 5-punch combination. Sean says that might be why DAZN has it scored even. It's good. Hrgovic is giving rounds away. Got it. Yeah. Again, Hrgovic puts himself in the corner, tries to come back with little short counter punches. Now they're back in the center of the ring. Joyce trying to mix in some jabs and straight hands to the body. Hrgovic just sticking to his jab right hand. Lead right hand, double lead right hand from Hrgovic. Jab to the body from Joyce. 1, 2, 3 from Joyce. Got less than a minute left here. Hrgovic with a 1, 2, 3 and then 2 body shots. Again, Joyce sort of marching Hrgovic into the corner. The men fall into a clinch. Ref separates them. Just under 20 seconds here. Again, Joe moves Hrgovic back into the corner with his jab. And Hrgovic ends by landing a couple of right hands. Okay, I guess Hrgovic chief second is in fact Abel Sanchez because he's now giving instructions. Closing the cut over Hrgovic's left eye. Okay, so I can't hear Abel Sanchez, unfortunately, simply because the music in the venue, playing music from, I don't know, the 80s or 90s. Anyways. All right, here we go. Next round. Again, Joyce kind of pressing Hrgovic up against the ropes. Simply with his jab, Hrgovic puts himself back on the ropes. Looks like Joyce is starting to pick up the pace. Hrgovic with a nice jab right hand. Joyce, a few more jabs to the head, jabs to the body. Nice jab to the head lands for Joyce. Hrgovic now off the ropes, but he's not far away from them. He seems to like that sort of stationary position. Fires off a right hand and gets off the ropes. Now they're back in the center of the ring. Not sure why Hrgovic just keeps retreating to the ropes. Joyce with a nice jab to Hrgovic's head. Oh, good. Jab right to the body and left hook by Joyce. Joyce starting to bring it now. In spite of Hrgovic's jab right hands. Hrgovic again with the jab right hand. Misses with a left hook after that. Opens up with a sweeping left hook. Now they're back in the middle of the ring. I think Hrgovic does better when he's in the middle of the ring, but again, Joyce brings him back towards the ropes. Fall into a clinch, they maneuver back to the center ring. Hrgovic's punch is starting to get a little wide. Joyce goes for the guillotine. Under a minute to go. Well, now we have Hrgovic driving Joyce back. They fall into a clinch. Ref separates them. Joyce again marching forward. Hrgovic puts himself in the corner, starts firing 1-2s to get out. Good action towards the end of the round. And we are about to enter the final third of this fight. Shug says Joyce now looking fresher. Agreed. Joyce does look better in this second half of the fight. Let's see if we can hear Abel Sanchez. Okay, Sanchez working the cut. Okay, Abel Sanchez is definitely trying to give Hrgovic some instruction, but there's also that younger, or this other Croatian person presumably giving him instructions as well. So I unfortunately couldn't hear any corner work. Here we go, round 8. Joyce again. Hrgovic has put himself in the corner and then along the ropes. Joyce just pressing him back. Now we're in the other corner. Hrgovic just keeps circling and going backwards. All right, Hrgovic misses with a 1-2. Joyce now starting to bounce on his feet a little bit. Really starting to come alive. Let's see what Joyce has here. Throws four punches. Nothing really lands, but Hrgovic is in the corner. He's not doing anything, so. Again, Joyce marching forward as Hrgovic just mostly stays along the ropes. Hrgovic makes his way out of the corner with a big 1-2, but Joe puts him right back on the rope, or Hrgovic puts himself on the rope. Joyce just continuing with the jab, jab right hand. Joe with the jab to the body. Hrgovic again in the corner. Comes back with a 1-2 to the head. Doesn't land clean. And Joe comes right back with 2 counter shots. Double jab right hand for Joyce. Continuing to stalk Philip around. Lands a nice left hook. Wings a right hand that misses. Again, at this point, Joe's showing that he's more the aggressor than Hrgovic. Well, Hrgovic comes back right now with a nice uppercut, right hand uppercut. But again, puts himself in the corner, drops his lead hand, and looks to just get counter shots. Less than 20 seconds to go here. Nice right hand from Hrgovic, but is this enough? Is this rally at the end of the round enough to give it to Hrgovic? And there's the bell. I mean, good rally at the end of the round by Hrgovic, but I mean, can you award somebody the round simply on the last 10 seconds? At this point, I have to give the fight to Joyce, simply based on output and aggression. Who do you guys have winning this fight? I think Joyce's corner said something about working off the jab and throwing combinations. But all right, here we go, round 9. I think this is just a 10-round fight, if I'm not mistaken. Not sure. Yeah, it's round 9 of 10, so these are the championship rounds for this fight. Okay, both men, I think, need to really let their hands go in rounds 9 and 10. Oh, nice body shot. Left body shot by Joyce. Looks like Hrgovic is starting to open up. His foot even left the canvas as he threw that pseudo Superman punch. Again, the ref warns Hrgovic about hits behind the head. Joe's bouncing on his feet. Something you expect to see more at the beginning of the fight than at the end, but so be it. It's Joyce. Okay, again, Philip puts himself in the corner, tries to counter with his right hand. Big sweeping right hand to the body, right hand to the head. Gets his way out of the corner. Not sure if something's up with Philip's left hand, but he just seems to be resorting to his right hand most and letting his left hand dangle. All right, Philip's starting to open up a little bit more, throwing 1, 2, 3. Okay, Joyce really needs to keep the pace up at this point, I think. Less than a minute to go here in this 9th out of 10 rounds. Philip's starting to pick up his aggression. Nice body shot from Joyce, but Hrgovic is just looking for that right hand. Alright, so Joyce really has to rally here and find something to, because Hrgovic has decided to turn up for this 9th round. Hrgovic landing lots of short right hands to Joe's head. And that's the 9th round. Definitely give that one to Hrgovic. Okay. Okay, Abel Sanchez speaking to Hrgovic. Hrgovic with his head down, not a good body language, but that was definitely Hrgovic's round, the 9th round. He landed a number of really good right hands. Alright, unfortunately, cannot hear any of the corner work. I think Joyce is still up, but he does need a big closing round to make it clear. Because I could easily see them giving Hrgovic a decision. So now the DAZN scorecards have Hrgovic up by 1. Right, so it looks like Joe is starting to rally. He's got Hrgovic, moving Hrgovic back. He really needs to put lots of punches together here. Hrgovic inexplicably just dropping his lead hand and putting himself back in the corner again. Very odd strategy, given that he had a great 9th round. Kind of allowing Joe to walk in. Not sure why Hrgovic is dropping that left hand. I don't know if he's got an injured shoulder or an injured hand, but Joe should really pick up the pace at this point. He needs a big 10th round. He is moving Hrgovic backwards, but he does need to also land more punches here. He needs to get going with that jab. Again, Joe just walking Hrgovic back. Lands a nice right hand. But Hrgovic just neutralizes that by clinching. Under a minute and a half to go. A good right hand by Joyce. Philip comes right back with the 1-2. A couple body shots to right hand, left hook. And they're clinching up in the corner. Under a minute to go here. Can Joyce pull this off? A little bit of sloppy punching as the men fall into the corner again. Back to center ring, but Philip keeps taking small steps back towards the corner. Oops, lost my stream, guys. It just seized up on me. Sorry, hang on. Oh, I apologize. For whatever reason, my stream has frozen up. So maybe some of you guys can keep me posted on this, because it looks like the fight is going to close out before I might be able to get this. Oh, hang on. Maybe I can get it to work. Sorry for the delay, everybody. Technical issues. Yeah, sorry guys, my stream froze up. Keep me posted. What's going on? Let's see if we can get this going. Regardless, I enjoyed that fight. Both men came to fight. So I think they both earned respect coming off their respective losses. All right, Sean says, I can't watch right now, guys. Please give updates if possible. Yes, please do. Sorry, I lost my stream with like 30 seconds to go. It's the internet gremlins. All right, let me try one more thing. All right, guys, apologize for my technical difficulties, but if you know or you're watching the fight live right now, please let us know what's going on. They gave it to Philip Hrgovic. I think he did earn it. Unanimous decision. They gave him, I think, 8 rounds to 2. So, pretty decisive. I don't think it was that far apart, though. Excuse me. I think, well, I think Joe Joyce earned our respect, though, in this fight, even though he lost. Don't know what's next for him. I think it's a little... But congrats to Philip Hrgovic. So Philip says he took the fight on short notice. Props to Philip. He just thanked Joe Joyce for taking the fight. Ellis Vlog says, decent fight. I don't think Joyce knows what's going on. Half. Bless him. Okay. Philip is saying how tough Joe Joyce is. Saying he couldn't believe he took all those shots. Which is definitely true for those first few rounds. He had a lot of right hands. Phillips now giving props to his trainer, Abel Sanchez, where he had his camp up in Big Bear. Abel is a terrific trainer, so, you know, I'm glad Hrgovic hooked up with him. Alice Vlog says, bloody hell. LOL. I don't think Joyce knows what's going on half the time. Okay, got it. I mean, he does look a little bit worse for the wear. I'm glad he was able to rally for this fight. Hrgovic is calling for the rematch with Dubois. Okay, so Hrgovic looks a lot better spiritually and just physically this fight than he did versus Daniel Dubois. So that's a good sign, and I'm assuming he feels sort of rejuvenated or whatever that is with the new trainer. Joyce in good spirits. Joyce very gracious in defeat, thanking everybody. Joyce is very eloquent in defeat. He was just asked if he wants to continue with his fighting, and he says, "Are you not entertained?" Seems to be in good spirits in spite of that loss. All right, so now Frank Warren is saying that he did feel that one scorecard was pretty wide. The one that gave Hrgovic 8 rounds to 2. I would tend to agree with that, but still, Joe Joyce wasn't able to put his punches together and land enough significant punches. In spite of Hrgovic kind of giving him the opportunity because he kept backing up and putting his back on the ropes. So, so now, yes, it's Frank Warren in the ring doing the post-fight interview. So, of course, Frank Warren's doing his salesman job, pitching upcoming fights. All right, so that's it, folks. Thank you all for joining us. Okay. Any final thoughts on this fight, Hrgovic versus Joe Joyce? I was rooting for Joe Joyce, but I'm glad it was a good fight, and I'm glad both men performed after coming off of losses. I think Joe showed us he's not done. Thank you, Sean. Sean says, good live, good fight. Great to see you. Thank you. Thank you, Alice Vlogs. I will see if I can tune in again for the Tim Tszyu fight, because I'm also rooting for Tim Tszyu tonight versus Joey Spencer. Shug says Joyce's best was just after the beat. Huh. Uh, just after he beat Dubois. He should have pushed for the shot inside that ear, but he waited too long. Joyce's style does not end towards or tend towards longevity. Right. He's kind of a puncher. He's a puncher. Loads up looking for those one punch knockouts. So you're right. It doesn't lend towards longevity. I'm surprised he was just so sort of upbeat and eloquent at the end of that, in spite of taking all those right hands from Philip Hrgovic. Sean says, I will wait for you. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to just go off for a little bit and then tune back in later this evening. So yeah, check it out, guys. Hopefully you've all subscribed. Please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. If you're interested in joining our channel as a member, you can earn belt ranks and you get early access to a lot of our content. So with that, Shug says, I hope we get Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman. Right, now that Keith Thurman has his bicep fixed, and I guess he is now campaigning at 154. I don't know. Yeah, that'll be an interesting fight. So I'm going to sign off for right now, guys. Thank you so much for joining me here. Really appreciate your comments. And I will see you shortly. So have a good little interim break. Get something to eat, something to drink. And I will see you soon. Thank you.